Hey there, it's Nathalie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to put together a little flashback fashion for you. I went to the Goodwill this weekend and got this pair of leggings. That's kind of a little glitzier than my style, but I really thought that this might work well with this skirt. Now this skirt style is from the 90s. That sounds so funny to say. That's from the 90s. Actually, I was a teenager in the 60s. I remember the 60s, lived to tell about the 60s, and I was a hippie in the 60s. Anyway, so we wore bell bottoms for real and true, like with Sonny and Cher and all of the monkeys and all of those guys that were wearing bell bottoms. Anyway, I'm going to fix a pair of bell bottoms. I'm going to use this as the bottom part and this for the top. And so whenever I was comparing the fabrics and stuff, it's like I didn't want to put it with brown jeans, and I thought this might be really fun. So let me show you how I do that, so don't go away. Okay, I've measured my inseam on my own body, and to from the crotch to my knee is 15 inches. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to fold this in half, match up this seam here, fold this in half, and lay it out. Make sure I've got my side seam straight here. Get the little wrinkles out. This has got spandex in it. And anyway, all right, so 15 inches. I'm going to add a ½ inch for the seam allowance. So 15½ inches there. And I'm just going to kind of straighten this up on this line here. Then what I'm going to do, keeping this part straight, I'm just going to fold this up like that. Okay, so here's my straight grain of my fabric right down the middle of this. And actually, this is probably going to be straight also. Let me do that. Find my scissors that are hiding here. Like so far. Here we go. Let's see if they're even. There's the crotch seam, and they're even. All right. So I want this to be about 34 inches long, or maybe I might want it to be 35 inches long, and wear it with. I've got on kind of a low heel today. So find the longest part of this skirt. This skirt's got several different layers in it and lengths. So we'll find that longest part and measure up from there. So 15, and 15 is 30, and I want this to be about 35, so I'm going to cut this 20 inches. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. It's not going to be from the measuring the bottom. That's going to be about there. So I'm going to actually measure down from the top, and that is going to be 9 inches that we're going to cut off. That's going to allow me about a ½ inch for my seam allowance. So what did I say? Measure twice, cut once, 9 inches. I'm going to come back down to this side, and it's got a little bit of a curve. It's got a zipper over here. We'll deal with that in a little bit. It also has a lining in it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use the lining or not, but I'll go ahead and cut that. Can you see her tail? There she is. Always, always. Miss Kitty No. In case you haven't met Kitty No, if you're new to the channel, there's a good reason for her name. Kitty. No Kitty. Because she likes to be in the middle of everything. All right, there are no straight seams in this, so the way that I'm going to cut to get a straight seam that's going to go to the inside of the leg, I have matched up sort of kind of these curvy seams. So this cut line is going to be in the middle, and this cut line will be in the middle. So, and it's going to be kind of weird to try to cut into that curve. I could have picked an easier one to do, but why would I do that? Why would I pick something that would be easy to work on? I don't know. I've had these several years ago in my Etsy store, but it's been a little while since I've done that. And I sold all of them, and sold them at different markets and in my Etsy store. And so now I'm going to do another pair because they seem to have surfaced again. My very first pair of bell bottoms that I made, probably 1967 maybe, or 66, were rainbow. Rainbow stripes down the legs and rainbow flares at the bottom. All right, so this is going to fit around the top. This will be the amount of the bell bottom at the bottom, and it'll have this really kind of cool, funky up and down curve to it. Before I go and stitch this, let me show you this. I think this worked out pretty neat. This actually will match up right here on that seam where that lace embellishment is. Matches to the top. This is on the bias, so it has a little bit of a stretch and a little bit of forgiveness there. And then whenever I get down to the bottom, I actually am going to be able to match this up at the bottom, the very bottom of the seam too. So I'm pretty excited about that, I won't have like a long finished edge and a short finished edge, or that would be a short on top. All right, so now I can go and stitch this. We'll match that up a little bit there. Now, I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and then I'll come back and attach it to the legs. Take about maybe a 1/2 inch seam, about like that, and I'm going to straight stitch. Oops, I didn't mean to kick my tripod. Make sure you can still see. There we are. All right, so and then I'm going to come back and do a zigzag stitch. And if you don't have a zigzag sewing machine, you can use a pair of pinking shears and pick off the edges. But this is bias, so it's not going to ravel hardly at all. There's what my seam looks like. Got my lace going the same direction. I need to press that down. There we are there. And I am going to repeat this on the other leg, on the other leg bottom, and then we'll attach it. I'll show you how to attach it to the leggings themselves. I went to the mirror and tried these on to see where I wanted this to go. And these are too big for me, so I am going to probably put these in my Etsy store. They are a size, I knew they were too big whenever I bought them, but I was, like I said, I was at the Goodwill store and I was looking for something that would work, and I didn't want to like spend a whole lot of time looking for it. These are No Boundaries. I think that's a Walmart brand, and it's 15 to 17. There it is, 15 to 17. And so anyway, and did I just say that they're low rise? They are low rise. So they are definitely like halfway between your whatever and your belly button. From the crotch line up is like 9 inches. All right, just so that you know. All right, so what I decided to do, I've checked pinned it around a little bit, and the way that I've pinned it with this seam to the inside, this seam, where we at? This seam and this seam on the inside, that's inside the leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this wrong side out. This is the seam that I just made. I'm going to pin that to this seam, and then I'm going to find halfway and quarter marks on here. There's no marks. I'm going to make some. All right, so holding this seam, both of those seams, just pull this in half. So that gives me a halfway mark here. I'll just take this little pin out. And then, and this is stretchy, so this will be easy to do. Find the halfway here. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that in place. Right there. And then match these two areas together, and that's going to give me my quarter. So hold that. Let me put a pin right there. And still holding this. Then that's going to be my quarter of my outside, my bell fabric. So I'm going to match that in right there. So then when I get ready to stitch it, I can just stretch that just a little bit, and it'll ease in. Do the same thing. You hear this? I have a pin in my mouth. Don't put your pins in your mouth. There, pin's out of my mouth now. Bad, 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 bad habit. Do not do that. So that's the halfway right there, or the quarter. Pin that. All right. And that'll stretch in. All right, so I'm going to repeat that process on the other leg. There are a couple of ways that I can do this. I can take this section of my sewing machine out, and then I can just put the leg on here and stitch it this way, or I can, this is large enough that I can stitch it from the stretchy side, and that's what I want to do, is stitch it from this stretchy side. Alright, so I'm going to do about a 1/2 inch seam. So that, there's 5/8 right there is my 1/2 inch seam. Do a little back stitch. And then I'm going to stretch this in and make sure that my little lace is turned where it needs to be. Okay, so there's a couple of things that are happening here. One is this is really stretchy, so when I stretch this out, then if whoever gets these has, needs a little bit more room, then they'll have room, they'll have stretchy rim. And it also eased this in without making a bunch of puckers, and so it'll give it a little bit of fullness. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna zigzag around this edge and then repeat this on the other leg. So let me go ahead and just zigzag this real quick. Here we go. This is what it looks like on the top side. I think that's going to be pretty cute. I am going to do that on the other leg, and I'll be back. Here they are, Flashback fashion bell bottoms, a little pair of spandex tights, and or jeggings, and a kind of swirly cotton skirt put together for bell bottoms. Kind of throws me back to the 60s. Now this little pair of pants, again, let me come up closer. They're a low rise, so my belly button is right there. I'm not going to show you all that, but that's where they come to. This size is a size 15, 17. And I'm going to put these in my Etsy store. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a little thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, maybe hop over to my blog and subscribe over there. And I will see you next time. Bye.